Hey, this is Yafervan, and in this video, I'm going to go over the item retexture that goes hand in hand with the Lootifier. We're going to click on Gameplay Tuning, and we're going to go down to the retexture engine. If you saw the other video where we did some of the basic retextures about a month ago in the items page, it was a lot more basic. And with the addition of the Lootifier, I thought it would be really fun if you could kind of apply changes to things in mass. So I'm going to go over the page first, and then we'll kind of walk through what's going on here. At the bottom here is where you would do a batch retexture to the different lootified items. You would flag which ones you wanted to lootify, you wanted to retexture based on what you've lootified. You would build the queue, and then you would run that queue. However, you would want to choose over here what you want out of that queue. So we're going to go over a couple items so you can see what this does and doesn't do. Let's start with something like Smite's Hammer. So Smite's Mighty Hammer. We're going to go for a new theory. What this means is it's just a mathematical algorithm of taking, pixel brightness, color, etc., and then creating different variants. So you would see your improved, in this case, with this fan theory, would be blue, of power would be green and purple, of glory would be like this, and the legendary would be like that. You can kind of click through the different theories here. Some of them I've tried to say, hey, stay closer to the original, but maybe as you move up, it begins to give it a bit more, flavor. And there's unfortunately no real control for this given how varying the weapons are. So I kind of click through these and say, hey, what do I like that doesn't really screw up the item? Now, maybe we could say this one really doesn't change all that much, but it just gives you slight variations to it. Or you could say, look, I really think that, changing them into monocolors or something is fun. Let's do, say, Cruel Barb. And in the case, this is the original base, if you will. And so these kind of items actually, you'd have to go for a really violent theory here to kind of get something different, just because their base model is already kind of monocolor. So there's just not much to work with there. We say Iron Foe, as we know, one of my favorites. And so you get to kind of see, you have to click on these to get them to apply, but this lets you kind of cycle through different items and weapons and just pick something, have fun with it. You don't really know what most things are going to look like. So once you've chosen a theory and you've kind of looked through and said, yeah, sure, why not? Let me go ahead and have fun with that. You'd come down here, you would build queue, you could run the queue, and then once that was, built, you would download the patch4.mpq, you would drop that into your data folder, clear the WDB cache, etc. Normal stuff when you're applying a patch like that. And this would mean that once you're in game and you got one of those questing lootified items, or dungeon lootified items, or crafting lootified items, you would probably roll into one of these variants, and it's fun, right? We go back to the Dwarven Defender from Lochmodan, and just being able to see like, okay, cool, I did this of the gods, or depending on, again, the color theory or where the base model, what colors it has, that just changes the output. And no, I don't have any real control over this. I don't really understand it. This is just me trying to have some fun and find a way to add some flavor without really breaking the original item's look and fill. And you can always undo, an item specifically, or redo it if you don't like how it turned out. And that would be like, requeue already queued items. You could retexture items. That is to say, you got an item, you don't really like how it turned out. You can retexture it without breaking it so that the reference in the database doesn't get lost without you needing to re-lootify items and go through a whole mess. This one's a little more complicated, so if anybody wants to try this and then you end up having some issues, feel free to let me know and see if I can help.